Hello folks, shintigercurl here, that dude in the straw hat, bringing you the preview for my second Let's Play. But before I start, a little background first. A few years ago, well, in 2002, 2003, me and my friend Izzy would hang out and pretty much do what guys our age did. Just hang out and go to the mall. Our mall of choice in this case was Deerbrook Mall in Humble. Very large, very open-ended little mall that we made our little hangout. We wouldn't hang out, but we just go there and just look around. Mostly we would go to GameStop or FYI. I got kicked out of there once. Don't ask. So anyway, during one of our trips to GameStop, I noticed a small little game for the Game Boy Color. It was a Dragon Ball game. Now keep in mind, this was during a time when Dragon Ball was making a resurgence with its Budokai series on the PlayStation 2. So to see a Game Boy game in this era for Dragon Ball was kind of surprising. So I decided I wanted to buy it, but I didn't have enough money, so I had to save up for it. Eventually I bought it, and it became one of my all-time favorite games. That game, of course, is Dragon Ball Z Legendary Super Warriors. Now, Dragon Ball Z Legendary Super Warriors was released in North America on June 3rd, 30th, 2002. It was released in Japan in August of that same year and expanded into the EU of November that same year. Unlike other Dragon Ball Z games, this one was an RPG, a turn-based RPG of sorts, that used an innovative card game system for attacks, techniques, and supports. It was something like like I said, it was something of a RPG in the fact that it was very turn-based. Your opponent went first. You traded turns. Whoever had the fastest speed would go first. The card system had a total of 125 cards. There were 3 types of cards to be used in the entire game: attack cards, support cards for healing and stat boosts, and defense cards. The characters had also specific cards that used strategically in battle. Each character had 4 stats: health, strength, ki, and speed. Health, of course, is determined how much life your character has. Strength, how hard they hit with melee attacks. Ki, how strong their ki blasts were, and speed determines not only who goes first, but also the accuracy of your attacks. So I really didn't do much I didn't really care too much about the stats, but I enjoyed the gameplay itself. To increase the stats, the player must level up a character by gaining experience by battling or temporarily increasing stats with a support card mid-battle. Each character can only be leveled up 4 times in total, and since each character had unique stat attributes, the game had a bit of a strategy element to it. Now, before every battle, the player must choose a deck consisting of 20 cards. No more, no less. You must balance these out with not only attack cards, but also key cards and support cards and defense cards. There are 2 phases to every battle: the attack phase and the defense phase. Now, trying to remember, I'm going this by memory mostly. Now, during the attack phase, you can use basic attacks to inflict damage, but also build up your CC points, or card costs. Card costs are sort of currency that you use to be able to use your higher level cards, because all cards in your deck have a CC cost. Doing basic attacks or defensive movements will increase your CC, allowing you to use much stronger attacks. Now, after you've done that, to do a basic attack or use cards in your deck, it requires a quick time event where you have to press in a series of button commands in order to activate it. Doing so successfully will allow you to land the attack and deal damage to your opponent. A basic melee attack costs no CC to use. But it can use, but like I said, it uses, but doing basic melee attacks can increase your CC count. You can also use support cards to mitigate damage or increase your health or do a myriad of other cards. Beam cards can be used as well, only if you have the CC. You can also use another trait called Gathering Power to increase your ki and stats and strength stat. During your defensive phase, you can use defensive cards to using defense or support cards to mitigate damage or avoid attacks. It also allows you to actively move, since there is a small grid on the entire playing field. You can by going up or down on the grid will determine how well you defend against certain attacks. If you move up into the sky, you will have greater defense against melee attacks. Moving down to the ground has greater defense against beam attacks. Also, also where you are in the game plays a significant portion in how your attacks go over. If you're closer to your enemy, then you will have less time to input attacks because, well, you're closer to the enemy. If you're farther away from them, you have more time to input the correct attack. Now, once you've built up your ki to a significant level, you can pull off signature beam attacks, like Goku's Kamehameha Wave, or Krillin's Kienzan, or Vegeta's Big Bang attack. Let's see. Each character can have has 3 decks. The first is a limit deck, which you can link up to 3 cards, 2 for certain exceptions, to an individual character. Certain cards can only be equipped to certain characters, like you can only equip the Super Kamehameha to Goku or the Mazenko to Gohan. These cards, unlike regular cards in your deck, these cards that are linked to a character can be used indefinitely. But first, you have to gather power first. The second deck is the deck the player assembles. The third deck is the fixed deck that has a stage attack, gather power, guard, and move cards. Now, as for gaming modes, there are 3 specific modes. First is the story. The story mode takes place from the beginning of the Cell Saga all the way to the Buu Saga, effectively the entirety of the Dragon Ball Z series. Every 10th battle, the player will face off against a boss character, either Frieza, Cell, or Buu. After beating each battle, the player wins, gets experience points, and also gets a choice of one of 3 prize cards. Each of these, you can choose any one of them or not choose any of them at all. It also features a specific overworld where the player can interact with NPCs and find more cards. If certain criteria are met in this mode, you can actually find new characters to use. During the first playthrough, you can only play as the heroes, but through a second playthrough, you can play as pretty much anyone, including the villains. The second mode is Battle Mode. You can choose one character and face off against enemy after enemy without saving. This mode is used to unlock new cards and gain experience quickly to level up characters. The longer you play, the higher chance of encountering a rare card. There are 3 tiers in this battle mode: low, mid, and high. But a character can only fight an opponent of their own tier. That leads to the third mode, versus mode. Player can choose. This is where you can trade cards with others or play against another player via link cable. Now, one of the surprising things about this game, specifically for a Game Boy Color game, is the amount of characters you can use. This supports an incredibly large roster of playable characters. Of course, you can play as the heroes: Goku, Gohan, both kid and adult versions, Krillin, Vegeta, Piccolo, Future and Kid Trunks, Goten, Vegito, and Gotenks. That's not even counting the individual transformations, such as you can play as Goku's base, Super Saiyan 1, 2, or 3, and so on and so forth for each one. Villains. This is surprisingly a lot of number of villains. You can play as Vegeta's old partner Nappa, every member of the Ginyu Force, even Captain Ginyu in Goku's body. You can place final form, you can face Frieza, all the androids from 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20, all the forms of Cell, Cell Jr., Majin Buu, Super Buu, Base, Gotenks Absorb, and Gohan Absorb, and finally Kid Buu. For a Game Boy game, that is a lot of characters. As far as reception goes, it was mostly favorable reviews. Fans praised the game for the amount of characters offered for a Game Boy game, and the amount of replayability, the complexity of the battle system, and the variety of strategy through the card-based system. Unfortunately, a lot of fans did not care for the slower pace or the difficulty spikes in some portions. IGN users gave this game an average of 7.5 out of 10. GameSpot users gave it an average of 7.8, while NeoSeeker gave it an impressive 9.0. So, yeah, this was probably the most underrated and underappreciated Dragon Ball Z game ever. I mean, how many Let's Plays do you often see of this game? So I decided that this would be my second choice for a Let's Play. So, I hope you enjoyed this little preview before I begin playing Dragon Ball Z Legendary Super Warriors. If you like this video, link, comment, subscribe below. Got any questions or comments? Or if you just want to share, or if you're more interested in this game, or want to share your memories of playing this game, just leave a comment below. I'll get back to you. If you want to support the channel directly, you know what to do. Just click an advertisement. That's all you have to do. It takes a second out of your day. Or if you want to donate directly, leave it at the tip. There's a tip jar up there. Drop $1 in the bucket. I could use a taco. Street tacos. So, until next time, for part 1 of the Dragon Ball Z Legendary Super Warriors Let's Play, it's shintigercurl, that dude in the straw hat, saying good day, and Dragon, Dragon, Rock, Dragon, Dragon Ball Z!